Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm a short, overweight, middle-aged white dude. I've got thinning brown hair, black gloss, I'm wearing a grey t-shirt, a light grey hoodie, and I'm sitting in a Polestar 2 with my friend Simon, who is...
I'm here. I am here.
But pretty much the same descriptors as me, except taller.
Yeah, not necessarily. Actually, I wanted to address something. You say overweight, but I know you're working towards a healthier you, as is evident the 5.24 kilometre walk you took me on this morning before shooting this video. So I want you to be more optimistic about your introduction.
Well, no, my introduction is how I look now. Okay. It's hopefully in the future I will be able to cut down on that. But in this video, so the reason why we are sitting in a Polestar 2 in the lovely Zetland in Sydney is Simon and I drove up here from Melbourne yesterday in the Polestar 2 for a job that we've got here tomorrow. And we tried to film a video about that road trip, but there were some technical challenges with cameras and microphones and whatnot, and we got some stuff, but by the time it got to about 6 o'clock in the evening, we were like, stuff this, we're not filming anymore. Let's just get to where we're going.
It was marred with glitches.
So I thought you still might, we will try. I don't make any promises. We will attempt to film a video for the road trip back this Friday. We'll see how that goes.
No, we will.
Okay, we'll film it.
Optimism.
Yes. Not sure how it'll turn up.
You might not ever see it.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Record will be pushed at some point on a camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to discuss the road trip because it was an interesting experience, because Simon, you've never been on an EV road trip before.
No, correct.
And I've never done a road trip not in a Tesla before.
But I do have a long history of road trips.
Yes, you do have a long history of road. So that bear that in mind with some of the conversations. Also, I will be doing a review of the Polestar 2 that we're in. That'll be coming out in a week or two, so that look out for that soon. But yeah, so let's take you through the steps of what we did yesterday. So I picked up Simon in Richmond at about
6:24.
6:24 to be precise.
Sorry.
And in hindsight, we should have just left and started driving. But I'd sort of set up the cameras, but I hadn't set them up entirely to my liking. So I wanted to adjust the cameras and get a microphone on Simon and get that all sorted out. And there's a slow charger near Simon at IKEA. So we went there. First of all, we went to the wrong chargers, then we went down. We faffed about for an hour, so we didn't leave Melbourne, actually a bit longer. We probably didn't leave Melbourne until about 8.
It was a while.
Yeah, we probably didn't leave Melbourne until 8 o'clock in the morning, which, again, in hindsight, we should have just left and sorted everything out along the way. And the car was suggesting that we go straight to the chargers at Banawatha North.
Banawatha, for those who have pronounced it all their lives.
I will just be calling it Bananarama, or that place.
Yep.
Apologies to all of those people who live in...
Bananarama?
Banawatha. Banawatha North. So the car was saying head there, so basically ignore the charges in Euroa, go straight to Banawatha North.
Sorry, in where?
Euroa.
The boat to catch a fish. Go on. I used to live up that way. Come on.
The whole day was like this yesterday.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Polestar, if you think of putting an ejector seat in the car, I'd be keen for that.
Yeah. Or a dad jokes button.
Yeah, same thing. So, and it was saying we were going to get there with 10%. Now, as we were driving, because I drive like a nana, our efficiency actually got better, and it was saying we were going to get there with about 12 or 13%. But then as we started going further and further, again, motorway driving, also the car is packed full of gear, so it's not extra heavy, but it's heavier than it would be with just 2 people in it. But if you were traveling with a family, it probably would be that heavy anyway, to be fair. And so I decided, well, just in case, why don't we stop at the chargers at Euroa, because the projected percentage that we were going to be at by the time we got there was going down and down and down, and eventually was sort of predicting that we would get there with about 8%. So we stopped at the Coles Super Express at Euroa with the ChargeFox chargers. So normally there are 2 50 kilowatt chargers and 2 350 kilowatt chargers. I think 1 out of the 3 was working, or 2 out of the 3 were working.
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah.
Basically, we couldn't plug in because there were other people there. But just in the little bit of space that it took us to drive into there and then out of there, the car was predicting that we weren't going to get to Vanuatu North with enough percentage. So I said, you need to charge somewhere along the way. So we stopped in Wangaratta. At that point, also it was cold and rainy, so that's obviously going to affect the battery as well. By the way, if you're new to this channel, please go watch some other videos where I explain a lot of how all this road trip stuff works with an electric car. And so we get to Wangaratta, and there is a single charger there, and only one car can charge on it at a time, and it's a 50 kilowatt charger, so fast but not super fast. And we get there, and there are 2 cars there already. There's a Atto 3, which was checked in on PlugShare, which this was impressive.
It had a dog driving.
Yeah, we pulled up next to it, and all we could see in the car was a dog in the front of the car. So we were like, how did he know? How did he plug the car in? But then, so on PlugShare, it was said, like the person said, right, they'd be there until 11, and like on the dot at 11.
The dog pulled out, drove off.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, how the dog set up an account on PlugShare.
I didn't see the dog unplug the car.
So many questions.
So many.
But then there was a Volvo XC40 there as well, who then was
Lovely lady named Jane.
Yeah, lovely lady named Jane. If you're watching, it was lovely to meet you.
Hi,
Jane. She plugged in, and I noticed that Jane was on like 78%, which, you know, if for those who aren't familiar with how electric cars work, the batteries charge the fastest between 20 and 80%. So if you're on a road trip, it doesn't really make that much sense to charge past 80%, because once you get to 80%, your charging speed is going to really, really slow down significantly. So, you know, you could charge in most cars from like 20 to 80% in, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes. And then it could take half an hour or longer to get from 80 to 100. So it's much better to just get to 80% and then drive to the next charging station and get to 80 or whatever and do it that way. So I waited for the rain to stop, and Jane was up to about like 80, 85, and I went up and I wanted to have a chat with her, ask if she knew about PlugShare, because she said she was new to electric cars. And we had a lovely chat, and fair enough, she was a little bit anxious because she had to get all the way back to Melbourne, and she knew she could stop in Euroa, but she'd seen on PlugShare that there were some charges down, so she was a bit anxious. She wanted to get as much so she could go straight through, which is fair enough. Fair enough. So she unplugged. So we were there. We waited about 20 minutes maybe for her to unplug.
Yeah, we went and got a coffee.
Yeah,
I went and got a coffee.
Yes.
The world's longest to make coffee, I think, in the world. I'm not sure what the guy was doing, but that's okay. It was fine.
But we had plugged in. Again, it was just 50 kilowatts, so we only put in about 15% to get us up to 35, which then gave us enough to get to Vanuatu North. We got to Vanuatu North, no issues there. Plugged in, happy days. Charged up to about 80, 85%, somewhere around there. Like the 80 to 85 was just while we were faffing about trying to get cameras working and stuff. Then we headed out. Now, it was telling us to go to Gundagai, and we were headed to Gundagai, but then I thought I'd seen something. And for those who aren't aware, so we are now in the middle of June. It is now June 14th at the moment. And at the moment, the ultra-fast chargers in Gundagai, one is working as normal, and the other one only charges at 25 kilowatts. So you should be getting 350, and you're only getting 25. So, and I checked on PlugShare while we were driving. Simon took over and he was driving. And I checked on PlugShare, and it said, you know, you're only going to charge at 25 kilowatts. The other one was being used. So I had a quick look as we were approaching Takata. That place, and there happens to be an EV charger there. So I said, hey Simon, quick, let's turn off here and use the EV charger. It's an ultra rapid, which is 350 kilowatts. Got there, no issues with that one. Plugged in. Unfortunately, the restaurant had just recently been renovated, and so they couldn't actually cook anything, and all that was available were pies.
Quattro e venti.
Whatever that
The
means.
world's best pie.
I've had better, I've had worse.
Oh, yeah.
It filled the gap.
Yeah, it did.
So we each had a meat pie.
Does anybody remember that ad? I think it was Merv Hughes. Quattro e venti. Do you ever see that? No.
I'm not Australian, so it's probably before I lived here.
Oh, yeah, it's probably for the best.
I do know who Merv Hughes is, though.
I think it was Merv Hughes. He had his handlebars and he did a meat pie ad. Anyway, we all know what's in those meat pies. So
We actually met Merv Hughes. We bumped into him at a cafe in Apollo Bay last year.
Really?
Yeah. I'll put a photo up now.
Just here.
Yeah. So anyway, he was lovely. He was so generous with the time. Like we were. Sorry, I'm going to get distracted now and tell a quick story. So we were sitting at the cafe outside at the table next to him and his partner, and people kept walking past and getting photos. And I'm one of those people who like I don't want to bother well-known people. Oh, can I have a photo or whatever? And I just thought, no, I'll leave them alone. And he was so gracious with all the people that were coming by. I also didn't want to bug him. But then as he was leaving, I was just like, oh, hi. And we got a photo. So he could not have been nicer. And so, yeah.
Did you have a pie with him?
He did not. Oh, no, it was a breakfast thing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And so, yeah, so that charging was fine. And then the final charge, we stopped at Goulburn. And one little issue at Goulburn, the two ultra rapids there, the screen's not on. So I tried to activate it with the app, but it just wasn't working. So I thought,
it was dark and really cold.
yeah, the heck with this. So we just moved the car, plugged into the one with the screen that was
There was
working.
no one else there, so that was fine.
Yeah, and that
But
was
still,
fine.
I mean, another issue with that.
Yeah, just a little thing. So again, me faffing about for an hour with the cameras before we left, that slowed us down. Just that little thing of stopping at Euroa
Yeah.
and then...
It just sort of threw us off our whole game.
Yeah, and then getting delayed at Wangaratta because it was a slow charger and we had to wait 20 minutes to get onto the slow charger.
That was a shocking spot for a charger too. You drive into a roundabout and Lee can do a hand-drawn diagram
Lee
right
can
here.
try.
Yeah, and you come around the roundabout and you directly have to pull into a car park right where the charger is. So all these cars trying to get around the roundabout or through the roundabout, and there's cars trying to pull out, swap sides of the charger. It's chaos.
Yeah, it's
Change that, Wangaratta Council.
It's not the best spot for it.
And add another one or 3
or 4
or 10.
So Simon and I have had some interesting discussions over the last day or so about...
We had the walk this morning was good.
Yeah, so what were your thoughts?
Well, I mean...
Trigger warning.
You know, trigger warning. I said to Lee this morning when we were on our walk that if that was all that was available, it took us, what did it take us 14 hours yesterday from go to woe to get from...
But I'm going to deduct 1 hour.
We can take, okay, so 13 hours. But, you know, like if I get I have a, disclosure, I have a diesel sucking Kia.
And yet we can be friends.
I know. Hey, it's got 8 gears.
Kumbaya, peace is possible.
That's right. Like and subscribe. I can fill my Kia up and I can drive to Sydney without even thinking about it. It takes me 7.5, 8 hours, whatever it is. 2 kids in the back, a dog, 4 bikes, fully loaded. That's fine. I realise, you know, we're changing. But yesterday took us with a deduction of an hour, and even if I say let's deduct 2 hours for faffing about, 12 hours to get from Melbourne to Sydney. 12 hours in the car with my kids is, you know, come on. So I just couldn't do it. I mean, Lee can do it quicker in his Tesla. And I don't think it's nothing to do with the car. The car was comfortable. It was beautiful to drive. It's fast. It doesn't have a handbrake, so I couldn't do a handbrake turn.
He didn't try.
Sorry, Pastor.
Larissa, he didn't try. I didn't let him.
No, I would have. I haven't done a 0 to 100 yet. This thing's quick. This is the one with the yellow seatbelts, and the yellow seatbelts, as everybody knows, makes it faster. But the charging network, the non-Tesla supercharger charging network, and Lee explained to me a little bit this morning that it's not necessarily to do with ChargeFox, but you know, the different people or companies that own the whole network.
For those who aren't aware, if you go have a look, Ludicrous Feed, Tesla Tom did a really good interview with the marketing manager from ChargeFox, and he explained sort of where ChargeFox effectively is just the system that allows payment and processing of payment of the charges and activating the charge. So they sort of manage the charges, but most of the ChargeFox charges, like the physical devices, aren't actually owned or maintained by ChargeFox.
Could you put a link to that video right there?
I can try. And so, actually, I don't know if I can put a link to stuff that's not on my channel. I've tried.
Oh, okay.
And it won't let me link to stuff that's... Apologies, Tom. I'll put a link in the description to Tom's interview. And So yeah, so it is a little bit of, well, I'm waiting for them and they're waiting for me, and it's messy at the moment.
The bottom line is it's messy, and ultimately we had some sort of issue, either technical fail or just too much demand for not enough supply on the whole network all the way up. So that, that would be that was a big turn off for me in terms of I really couldn't do this. And I said to my better half, and she's gets in the car, wants to get to her destination. Some people aren't like that, and that's okay. But she doesn't want to be in the car. She wants to get in the car, get to the destination as soon as possible, get out of the car and start her whatever she's going there for. And I thought if I was in the car with her yesterday and it took us 13 hours or 12 hours to get from Melbourne to Sydney, I'd probably be dead now.
I will say this is sort of neither here nor there, but in the grand scheme of electric cars and things like that, keep in mind, like, we're talking about long road trips, and most people aren't doing weekly long road trips.
No.
And a lot of families, I would say, I don't know if a majority, but a lot of families would be dual car families. So it is still possible. Look, I'd love everyone to be driving electric cars, but for those who do feel the need to still have, for those who want to drive straight through, and that's really important for them, you could still have an electric car for your everyday use for most of your driving.
See, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And for those, and I still think
those curmudgeons.
Well, no, look. See, the thing is, I don't mind stopping along the way, and I don't mind waiting a little bit while the car is charging. And I think definitely where cars could improve is for cars to charge quicker. Like, I definitely find my Tesla charges exceptionally quick when I did this run earlier in the year in March. Like, I found that, I'll put a link to that video over Simon's face now. Just blocking out Simon's face as best as I can.
Just here.
Yeah. And so
actually block out my double chin with it.
No link is big enough.
Come up here and say that. Hey, I got a short joke in.
Yeah.
Look, if I had one of these at home in the backyard, and as I've said to you before, we've set up for an EV when the time's right. I've got my 32 amp circuit out the back of the house. I can drive into my backyard. Don't get me started on curbside charging.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's another video.
We've talked about that. Yeah.
But I could plug in the car. Could in the morning, the school run, the sports all day for the week. No problem at all. Going down to Queenscliff where we go quite a bit. No problem. But it'd just be that. Once every couple of years, driving up to my parents' house.
In fact, you could rent a car for that.
Yeah, I could.
Like, if you looked at the expense of owning a car for an entire year, for just one road trip a year that you might do.
No. See, I've already thought that through.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got the Kia at the moment. And when the time comes to purchase an EV, be it a Tesla or be it a whatever, anything else, because EVs in Australia feel like, compared to the rest of the world, it's going slowly. But if you look at it in the last year, it's come a hell of a long way. The charging network, the available cars, even when you walk out, like I was saying to Lee, we stopped and one lot of traffic went through a set of lights while we were waiting to cross. And there was 2 Teslas, a Polestar, it's not a, wow, there's an EV anymore. It's, wow, there's a real lot of EVs on the road now. So what I would probably do is, I have an old Audi that sits at another place as rusting as my second car, and at some point that's going to have to go away. Much to my disgust, it's got a real handbrake you can do. But the Kia will be there as the second car, but I'll just have my daily EV pumping out no bad pollution all day, every day. Because that's what it does. It just takes the kids to school or sports or, I'm just an Uber driver. I know that.
No, Uber drivers get paid.
Oh, yeah. Actually, people even rate them. Like, my kids don't even rate me. They're just like...
Oh, they rate you. You just don't want to see the rating.
Yeah. You don't even know who I am half the time. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I love the idea of EVs. But so to sum up my road trip experience, fantastic drive, beautiful car, but the network killed it for me. But that said, like how it was a year ago versus how it was yesterday versus how it's going to be in a year, I think will be a long way forward from where we are now.
I hope so, and I was feeling a bit down this morning because I was really keen to sort of show Simon yesterday how it's not a big deal, everything's fine, everything's great, and look, we got here.
Yeah.
And it took a bit longer, but we got here and everything was safe and the car was easy to drive and when things worked, they worked just fine.
Actually, I'll tell you, there was one thing. We're staying in an Airbnb. It's a beautiful place and it's got a little PowerPoint out the back and we've got you can see we're in the backyard, basically. We could drive the car in and I was excited. This morning I woke up and I came out to see if the car had magically filled up with sparks. Neutrons, electrons, whatever. But the dash was off because nobody had been in it. It just put itself to sleep, and I couldn't see it. I was really disappointed. I was like, I want to see if the magic has happened. It's like the Easter Bunny coming every morning in your car. No.
Moving on. But yeah,
Very important. I did ask permission from the Airbnb if we could plug the car in. If you're ever going to plug your car in at someone else's property, always make sure you've got permission.
There are plenty of advantages to having an electric car. But yes, I think road trips are still, it's not the same as I think the thing that upset me the most is just Simon kept saying that it's a lot of faff. It was a lot of faff. And it was, I think maybe because I'm used to electric cars and I'm used to the process, it doesn't feel like a lot of faff to me, but it's been a bit of an eye-opener for me to sort of see it through Simon's fresh eyes, fresh old eyes, where it is a faff. It is a faff, and because I'm an enthusiast, I'm more than happy to put up with the faff.
Yeah.
But I can see how...
Well, so I was sort of imagining it from Michelle's perspective. Like her having to pull out
Simon's
of one car
wife.
and get, my better half, move car parks or go and find a charger or something, as opposed to she uses Petrol Spy. It tells her where to get petrol. She goes there, fills the car up.
And you could just, in your mind's eye, you could see her eye rolls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like... even coming out of that roundabout and having to pull straight in and then having to swap spots because that charger doesn't work for that car, but that one does. And then there's someone else in line and then you've got to wait 15 minutes. Like, she doesn't even drink coffee. Well, anyway. Yeah.
Although a nice element of the faff, though, and you mentioned this yesterday, you said it was a bit. There's a nice community feel to it. Like there was that guy in the BMW that we kept bumping into.
Yeah.
Like at every charger, we sort of caught up. Like we'd get there and he was charging, and we'd have a bit of a chat, and then we get to the next charger and he'd be charging before because.
I mean, by charger number 3, I felt a little bit like a stalker, but that was fine. I said to him, I keep taking photos of your car and sending them to my kid because he loves the BMW, whatever it's called, not EQS, that's Mercedes.
I something.
Yeah, i4. It's a great looking car. Anyway.
Yeah. So also
it was very community feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
hi again, Jane.
There is that nice sort of community feeling, and at the moment, although I will say, like in Wangaratta, before we'd introduced ourselves to Jane, I did feel a bit like I said to Simon, like. I just want to go up and sort of like have a word and just ask her how long she's going to be, but I didn't want to knock on some person's window without, So I was a bit anxious to go up to the window, but and it was raining, so everyone, I had my hood up, so already, but no, it was fine,
Creeper.
So Simon just pointed out the battery on the camera is about to die, so I think we better wrap this up. Final thoughts.
I'd love to try it in a Tesla. Or I'd love to see, and I feel like I'm going to be an advocate now for upgrading this network.
And I will just point out, when Simon says he'd love to try it in the Tesla, it's not the Polestar's fault.
Nothing
per
to do
se.
with the car.
It's
just
the supercharger network. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
I'd love this if I could use the Tesla supercharger network, and I think it's because if a Tesla supercharger breaks down, like it's fixed in no time because there's one body that needs to deal with that, whereas all the rest, they're on council property, they're on private property, they're using different networks. That's the faff, not the car, it was primarily the fiasco of trying to charge, and it wasn't even range anxiety because I thought he had more range anxiety than me. He was like, it's only going to have 6%. We should probably go earlier. I'm like, let's go for 6%. But, you know, if you get there and there's one charger broken and 3 other people waiting in line, you just have to wait. That's it. There's no alternative. So, yeah, I'd just like to see the network upgraded and more people pushing towards getting that.
Although there are sort of alternatives, like you know, like Wangaratta was our alternative, where we could go to a slightly slower charger that was nearby, get enough to then get to the faster charger. But again, that's a bit of faff.
It's a faff.
So that is a bit of faff. So,
and that's all right. I can see the enthusiasm coming out. But from a layman who's just trying it for the first time, that would really put me off. It didn't put me off because I can see big things in the future of EV.
And we've got to get home on Friday.
We've got to get home. Yeah, Dad, we might come past your place.
Well, Simon, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you for driving me.
Thank you for driving me for the bits where you were driving. I was sleeping through those, so I'm sure everything was fine.
Yeah. Well, we're alive.
Yeah. Can't see any marks on the car, so we're fine.
That wombat.
Yeah, I'll see if I can put some stuff up. But yes, we will attempt to film we will film, and I will attempt to edit our road trip back to Melbourne and see how that goes in a couple of days' time.
Sounds good.
I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this has been helpful.
For those that are already subscribed, thank you very much. And for those of you who haven't subscribed, you better do it right now. Oh, is that what I was meant to say?
A slight difference.
Oh.
The wording's not exact, and the tone might be a bit different, but that's... thank you so much for your support.
That's it, that one. We love you all, yeah.
And safe and happy driving.
Did you unplug it?
It wouldn't let us go if it wasn't.
No, it has that thing on the thing that says... Now, have you put in where we're going?
No, I will for you in a moment. Actually, I think I just saw the car move. I'm guessing that wasn't the dog.
No, it was a person.
Okay, well, I'm going to put my seatbelt on, and maybe they're leaving, and then we can take the spot. Yay!
What is going on here?
Are you happy with your hair?
No. What has happened? It's like I got in the car with wet hair and it's blown I've just got gone sideways.
Yeah.
And I can't fix it.
Well, you know this is going in the blooper reel. Say what you like, I can bleep it out.
You are live on Channel 4, please do not swear. Maybe you just crop my head out.
Where's that? Oh, it's on the other side of the bag.
This is going to be a trip of you getting out to get things.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to pack properly.
He always does things like
Oh, and it was on that side of the bag. I just wasn't reaching in the right place.
He also does things like that.
I look forward to hearing whatever it is you said.
Is that magnet onto there, or is it just wedged in?
I'm just wedged in. Because I didn't have time to charge.
So not only is my hair terrible, now it's highlighted by a thing.
Oh no, you can see that in that shot.
And that's not doing anything.
That's not doing it. It's too weak. I didn't have time to charge them.
Mine though.
See, yours are doing a bit, isn't it? I'll start too with my friend Simon here, who is
taller than him. And I've always wanted to say that. I forget what attributes I needed to share about myself, but I'm taller than him.
Yeah, let's jump in.
I couldn't even get the sticker off the microphone to stick on me, so that gives you a bit of an idea of what technical challenges he's dealing with. Me, I'm one of them.
He's joking. He's very good with cameras. And also, it'll be interesting because as much as I'm not a car guy, Simon might not be a car guy, but you're definitely more of a car person than I am. Or are you a car person?
Yeah, I'm probably more of a car person than not a car person.
Okay, so we'll have some interesting takes on the car, and I've authorized, ooh, look at me. I filled out the form when I was borrowing the car and I added Simon as a driver, so it's cool for Simon to, so we might do some swapsies and you can give some feedback.
See if this thing can do handbrake turns. Just kidding, just kidding.
We're not driving it like a rental. They do similar things but not the same.
Whatever you want, Danny DeVito.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of a trip. Okay, no, good. Okay, good. Something that I really like about the Polestar 2 is that it does have a dash, which is really nice.
Oh,
and it's
doesn't the Model Y have a dash?
Teslas don't have a dash. Teslas just have the center
They just
screen.
have the screen. I
How do you...
don't think I've ever realised
How many
that.
times have you been in my car? And
Yes, a number.
That? Okay, cool.
Safety third, fourth, fifth, first. Oh, coffee. That's probably what we need to get first. First.
Simon definitely needs a coffee.
Roll.
Recenter.
Don't come back. I'll get you a copyright strike if I start singing.
No,
won't I?
yeah, please don't sing. Point out every now and again.
You know, have you noticed how many times you just point things out? You point things out a lot. It's good. Like,
No, okay, I'll mention. Is that better? I drive like a nana.
watch out.
Well, collision.
I drive like a nana as the car saves us from ending into a Mitsubishi.
But I was going so slow that we had plenty of time to stop.
You just stop looking at all the fancy technical things and you watch out the front.
I'm making eye contact with the audience.
I prefer
So,
you made eye contact with the Mitsubishi.
no, that's fair enough.
Eye contact, not contact.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Yeah, that's it. It has eight-speed gearbox, which means it doesn't rev very high, so that's good, right?
I have no idea what that means.
You have a one-speed gearbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have more room, is that what you mean?
I have less from.
See, cars confuse me. Is right up, he is so far up my rear end, I feel like he should buy me dinner first.
Look, he made it another 40 feet. Well done.
I'll see if I can. I'm gonna have to beep so much out on this video.
I shouldn't yell at, but look how fast everyone's going.
Well, actually, it is.
Oh wait,
It is
look
up
how
to 100.
slow you're going.
Yeah, well, it only changed to 100 now. Well, you could have just told me instead of letting me prattle on
You're
there.
the one driving.
I'm gonna cut that out. Just gonna edit that out.
What, which bit?
The whole bit.
What, about me telling you were wrong?
Yeah. that's the prerogative.
We're
of-
still doing 80.
Well, the person in front of us is doing 80.
Ram them. That'll teach them. We're in a 2-ton battery. We can ram them.
Keep assist.
We don't need anything to explode. He's going to ram us into something with his lane keeping and his cruise control. Oh, yeah.
I could probably do this job on my own, and you can walk home.
I could walk from here, but if we get much further, it'll be a bit difficult.
Not at the
Actually,
speed. Not at the speeds I drive.
That's true.
I think this is a great car for you. Like my.
What's the name? A petrol head when you have a petrol car. What's a battery head?
Neutron head.
Neutron head.
Neutron head.
Spark head.
Spark head.
Which is fitting for this. What's happened to my hair today?
Again with your
I don't want any comments.
All the comments are going to be about your hair now. Good or bad,
Yeah.
we're open to everything.
Yeah.
It's easy for me who lives in the suburbs and doesn't make a living from coal to go, oh, well, the people who work in the coal factories can just retrain. Yeah, well, you know what? If someone suddenly discovered that cameras causes cancer and we can't use cameras anymore, I would be very much against that research because I very much like cameras and cameras help me make my living. So,
What would you retrain into?
it's a very good question. I don't know.
I can see.
I always wanted to be a lumberjack
That's okay. You could work all night.
and sleep all day.
Yeah. Wear high heels? Yeah. I know. I'm going to stop now. Sorry.
You keep getting us copyright strikes.
Hey, are you allowed 15 seconds of
I don't know how socials work. I'm over 30.
TikToks?
Oh, the tickety talks. Yeah, I've got to get onto the tickety talks.
Tickle talkers.
That it's cold and rainy,
Yeah.
which is also batteries don't like the cold, so they don't function best in the cold.
Petrol doesn't mind the cold, mate.
Yeah, but
And on that note, we'll see you in about 2 hours. Okay.
well, we're about 5.
No. I've got to check my hair.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez. It's like I'm working with a professional. Righto. Sorry.
So, and we had a nice chat.
One moment.
I wasn't talking to you, Siri. And we had a lovely chat.
Still working.
Oh, for heaven's Siri.
I'm having some trouble with the connection.
I'm
It's because you're not connected to the internet. So we plugged in, Simon got a coffee and a jelly slice because apparently
You
everywhere...
not mention the jelly slice.
Simon got a coffee, did not get a jelly slice. And...
I see what you did there.
yeah,
that's good.
Totally believable.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to complain, but I know that if I was in the car with somebody less patient than my good self, I'm not going to mention who that might be. If I don't say her name out loud, does it really happen?
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that we'd be having... No. We'd be able to slide straight into the back of them and respond.
So glad I'm responsible for what happens to this car.
Look at this behind us.
And what kind of vehicle is it,
Oh,
Simon?
look at these typical trucks. Oh, let's just drive side by side and... Yeah, beep that out.